Robert "Tank" Williams arrived at Nellis Air Force Base every morning at 5:30, put on his blue coveralls, grabbed his toolbox, and walked to Hangar 7. At 52, he was a quiet, humble technician. He repaired F-16 fighter jet engines and rarely spoke to anyone. The young pilots saw him as just the old mechanic. Until the day new pilot Lieutenant Anderson spotted the gold wings under Robert's shirt. Because those wings were only given to the most elite test pilots. And Robert Williams wasn't just a technician. He was a retired colonel who had flown the most classified military aircraft for 25 years, a legendary Top Gun instructor known by the call sign Iceman. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we begin this tale of hidden identity, forgotten greatness, and unexpected respect, tell me in the comments where you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be remembered, hit that subscribe button and help us keep them alive. Nellis Air Force Base, located in the heart of the Nevada desert, was America's most prestigious pilot training center. Red flag exercises were conducted here, and the world's best pilots came here for training. Hangar 7 was the main maintenance unit for F-16 Fighting Falcons. Robert Williams had been working here for 3 years. Every morning he would arrive quietly, sipping coffee from his metal mug while planning the day's work. The young technicians respected him, calling him Mr. Williams. But the pilots only saw him as the mechanic. To them, he was just an invisible man who got their aircraft ready. Robert's real story went back to 1985. That year, he'd graduated from the Air Force Academy and been accepted into the highest-level pilot training programs. In the 1990s, he'd served as a test pilot on classified projects, participating in the development of stealth technology. From 1995 to 2005, he'd worked as an instructor in the Top Gun program, known by the call sign Iceman. He'd become legendary for his cool-headedness, perfect reflexes, and tactical intelligence. After retiring in 2015, the transition to civilian life had been difficult. He didn't want to fly commercially, but he couldn't stay away from aviation either. The technician job at Nellis allowed him to stay close to aircraft. Nobody knew his background, and he didn't tell them. That Tuesday morning, the hangar was busy, as usual. 4 F-16s were under maintenance, 6 young pilots preparing for the next day's exercise. Robert worked quietly, examining the engine control unit of aircraft number 3. "Hey, mechanic," called Lieutenant Jake Murphy, a 26-year-old cocky pilot. "When will this bird be ready?" Robert didn't look up. 2 hours, he said calmly. 2 hours? Murphy mocked. "I'll die of old age by then." The other pilots laughed. Robert said nothing and continued working. Lieutenant Sarah Anderson, 28, was the group's only female pilot. Unlike the others, she was respectful to the technicians. She approached Robert. "Mr. Williams, is there a problem with the engine system?" Robert looked at her. There was something different about Anderson. Real professionalism. "Fuel pump failure. Need to replace it," Robert said. "How long will it take?" "If you're patient, it'll be safe." Anderson smiled. "Isn't patience necessary for a pilot?" This conversation annoyed Murphy. "Anderson, don't talk too much with the guy. He's slowing down our work." Robert remained silent again, but Anderson looked at him. "Mr. Williams, did you ever want to be a pilot?" Robert hesitated. For the first time in years, someone had asked him this question. "Long time ago," he said quietly. "Why didn't you become one?" Robert was about to answer when Murphy interrupted. "Because being a pilot isn't for everyone," he said mockingly. "The sky is for the brave." Something changed in Robert's expression, but he remained silent again. During lunch break, when Anderson was alone, she approached Robert. "Mr. Williams, have you really never flown?" Robert looked at her for a long moment. "Why do you ask?" "Because the way you examine aircraft? It's like you know them very well." Robert smiled. "I've been doing maintenance for years." But Anderson wasn't convinced. She watched Robert's hands. The way he assessed controls resembled a pilot's movements. That afternoon, an accident occurred. Lieutenant Collins experienced engine failure during a training flight and had to make an emergency landing. The hangar turned to chaos. Collins was shaking as he got out of the aircraft. Engine just quit, lost control. Commander Colonel Hayes arrived. "What happened?" Collins tried to explain, but was confused. Robert quietly approached and began examining the aircraft's engine. Problems here, Robert said calmly. Turbine blade fracture, metal fatigue. Colonel Hayes looked at him. Are you sure? Yes, sir. After 15,000 flight hours, these kinds of problems show up. Hayes was surprised. How did a simple technician know flight hour terminology? How did you know that? Robert hesitated. Experience, sir. Anderson was listening. Robert's explanation was too technical, too detailed. He was talking like a pilot. After the shift ended, Anderson invited Robert to the cafeteria. Mr. Williams, I want to ask you something. Go ahead. Aren't you really a pilot? Robert stirred his coffee. Why would you think that? Because the way you explained the engine failure today, it was very professional. Robert looked at her. There was honesty in this young woman. Lieutenant Anderson, sometimes the past isn't important, but sometimes it is. Just then, Murphy approached. Anderson, you're talking too much with the mechanic. Jake, don't disrespect Mr. Williams. Disrespect? Murphy laughed. He's a hangar rat. We're pilots. Robert stood up. Lieutenant, good evening, he said to Anderson. He didn't even look at Murphy. The next day was red flag exercise, the toughest air combat training. Anderson was nervous, while Murphy was full of himself. Today, I'll show you real flying, Murphy boasted. Before the flight, Robert did a final check of the aircraft. He noticed a small problem with Anderson's plane. Lieutenant, he said quietly, there's a calibration error in the radar system. Is it important? Yes. You might have problems with target identification. Anderson trusted him. Can you fix it? Robert adjusted the system in 10 minutes. But while doing his work, Anderson noticed something. A golden glint was visible from Robert's shirt collar. Curious, she moved closer. Robert didn't notice. From under his shirt, very faintly, old gold pilot wings were visible. But not ordinary pilot wings. These were different. Anderson held her breath. These were test pilot wings, and there was small writing on them. Top Gun Instructor. Mr. Williams, she said in a trembling voice. Robert looked up. He saw Anderson's expression. You've been hiding who you are. Robert noticed the wings. He quietly adjusted his shirt. Lieutenant Anderson, you're a test pilot, a Top Gun instructor. Robert remained silent for a long time. Then he took a deep breath. Used to be, he said. Now I'm just a technician. No, Anderson said. You're a legend. Just then, Murphy approached. Anderson, why are you late? Anderson was excited. Jake, do you know who Mr. Williams is? The mechanic, Murphy said indifferently. He's a Top Gun instructor. A test pilot, Murphy laughed. Don't be ridiculous, Anderson. Robert quietly stood up. For the first time, he looked directly at Murphy. Lieutenant Murphy, he said calmly, but with a different tone. Don't be overly aggressive in today's flight. Don't push the F-16's limits. Are you giving me tactics? Murphy mocked. Robert pulled out his old ID card from his pocket. It read, Colonel Robert Williams, test pilot, Top Gun instructor. Murphy's face went white. I served as a pilot for 25 years. I spent my last 10 years at Top Gun training the best pilots. My call sign was Iceman. The hangar fell silent. Everyone turned to look. And I'm telling you, Lieutenant, ego is a pilot's greatest enemy. Murphy couldn't say anything. Colonel Hayes approached. He saw Robert's ID card. Colonel Williams, are you Iceman? Retired Colonel, sir. Hayes saluted. Sir, your honor is great for us. Why didn't you tell us? Because the past is the past, Colonel. Now I'm just trying to keep your aircraft safe. Anderson looked at him with tears in her eyes. Sir, you have so much to teach us. Robert smiled. Maybe. But first, you need to learn respect. Murphy approached. Sir, I apologize. I didn't know. You didn't need to know, Lieutenant, but you needed to show respect. From that day on, everything changed. Robert no longer hid his identity, but he didn't show off either. He simply began mentoring the young pilots. Anderson learned the most from him. Murphy changed the most. A real pilot, Robert said one day, shows himself not in the aircraft, but in character. The legend of Iceman spread quietly through Nellis, not through boasting or stories, but through the respect he commanded and the wisdom he shared. Young pilots began seeking his advice, and even experienced officers would nod respectfully when they passed him in the halls. Robert never flew again, but he didn't need to. Every aircraft that left Hangar 7 carried a piece of his expertise, his attention to detail, and his commitment to safety. The mechanics he worked alongside began to understand that they weren't just fixing machines. They were part of a tradition of excellence. Anderson became one of the top pilots in her class, crediting Robert's guidance for her success. Murphy, humbled by the experience, became a more careful and considerate pilot, and Robert found something he hadn't expected in his retirement: purpose. 3 months later, when a delegation from the Pentagon visited Nellis, they specifically asked to meet the legendary Iceman. Robert politely declined the formal recognition, but agreed to brief them on aircraft maintenance protocols. His insights led to improvements in maintenance procedures across the entire Air Force fleet. But perhaps the most meaningful moment came when Anderson received her first commendation for excellence in flight operations. She found Robert in Hangar 7, quietly working on another F-16. "Sir," she said, "I wanted to thank you." Robert looked up from his work. "For what?" "For teaching me that respect isn't about rank or recognition. It's about character." Robert smiled, the first genuine smile anyone had seen from him in years. "Lieutenant, you already had the character. I just helped you see it." As Anderson walked away, Robert returned to his work. But now he wasn't just a mechanic hiding from his past. He was a teacher, a mentor, and a reminder that greatness doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it works quietly in the background, making everyone around it better. The gold wings remained under his shirt, not hidden in shame but kept close to his heart where they belonged. Because Robert Iceman Williams had learned that true honor isn't about what you've done. It's about what you continue to do for others. If you were in Robert's position, would you have hidden your identity? Have you ever discovered that someone ordinary had an extraordinary past? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story of hidden greatness resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. Because at Human Stories, we believe that real heroes often work in the shadows, making everyone around them better.